Question 1. Which of the following should be classed as hazardous waste? A. Fluorescent light tubes. B. Broken ceramic tiles or bricks. C. Glass. D. Polythene and shrink wrap. Question 1. Answer: A. Fluorescent light tubes. Question 2. There has been a spillage of hydraulic oil from plant working near a watercourse. What one action should you not do? A. Notify the site manager. B. Switch the plant off. C. Contain the spillage. D. Use detergents to clean up the oil. Question 2. Answer: D. Use detergents to clean up the oil. Question 3. Which two actions could help minimize waste? Select two answers. A. Leave bags of cement and plaster out in the rain unprotected. B. Reuse of cuts as far as possible rather than discarding them. C. Use new material packs at the beginning of each day. D. Only take or open what you need and return or reseal anything left over. E. Always take much more than required just in case you need it. Question 3. Answer: B. Reuse of cuts as far as possible rather than discarding them. D. Only take or open what you need and return or reseal anything left over. Question 4. The high levels of solvents in some paints and resins can cause A. Lung problems. B. Headaches, dizziness and sickness. C. Effects on other parts of your body. D. All of the above. Question 4. Answer: D. All of the above. Question 5. When drilling, cutting, sanding or grinding, what is the best way to protect your long-term health from harmful dust? A. Wear FFP3 rated dust mask and impact goggles. B. Wear any disposable dust mask, hearing protection and impact goggles. C. Use dust extraction or wet cut and wear light eye protection. D. Use dust extraction or wet cut, wear FFP3 rated dust mask, hearing protection and impact goggles. Question 5. Answer: D. Use dust extraction or wet cut, wear FFP3 rated dust mask, hearing protection and impact goggles. Question 6. You have been given a dust mask to protect you against hazardous fumes. What should you do? A. Start work but take a break now and again. B. Do not start work until you have the correct respiratory proactive equipment, RPE. C. Do the job but work quickly. D. Wear a second dust mask on top of the first. Question 6. Answer: B. Do not start work until you have the correct respiratory proactive equipment, RPE. Question 7. You have finished your work and need to sweep up the dust created. What should you do? A. Make sure there is plenty of ventilation. B. Dampen down the area. C. Put your protective mask back on. D. All of the above. Question 7. Answer: D. All of the above. Question 8. Which of the following do you need to do to ensure that your mask works? A. Check it's the correct type needed. B. Check you are wearing it correctly. C. Pass a face fit test wearing the mask. D. All of the above. Question 8. Answer: D. All of the above. Question 9. You are using water as part of dust control and run out. What should you do? A. Carry on as you have nearly finished. B. Stop and refill with water. C. Carry on but get someone to sweep up afterwards. D. Ask everyone to clean the area and then carry on. Question 9. Answer: B. Stop and refill with water. Question 10. Which of these activities does not create silica dust, which is harmful if breathed in? A. Break up concrete floors and screeds. B. Sawing timber and plywood. C. chasing out walls and mortar joints or sweeping up rubble. D. Cutting curbs, stone, paving slabs, bricks and blocks. Question 10. Answer B. Sawing timber and plywood. Question 11. There are many kinds of dust and fumes at work. Breathing them in over time can cause you to develop A. Skin cancer, B. Occupational dermatitis, C. Sore throat, D. Occupational lung disease. Question 11. Answer D. Occupational lung disease. The health and safety sign below is used to indicate A. Fire hose location, B. Fire assembly location, C. Fire extinguisher location, D. Fire alarm point. Question 1. Answer D. Fire alarm point. Question 2. What should you do if you discover a child wandering around on a construction site? A. Escort the child to safety immediately. B. Just ignore it as it's not your problem. C. Find your supervisor and report it. D. Find your site manager and report it. Question 2. Answer A. Escort the child to safety immediately. Question 3. What does the health and safety sign below mean? A. Dangerous to the environment. B. Hot liquid. C. Corrosive. D. Irritant. Question 3. Answer C. Corrosive. Question 4. What does the health and safety sign below mean? A. Dangerous to the environment. B. No fishing in this area. C. Do not dump refuse here. D. Protected wildlife area. Question 4. Answer A. Dangerous to the environment. Question 5. If high-visibility clothing is needed to carry out your work, who should provide this? A. Your employer needs to provide it, then have the cost deducted from your wages. B. Your local job center will provide this. C. Your employer needs to provide this. D. You need to buy your own. Question 5. Answer C. Your employer needs to provide this. Question 6. To help prevent injuries caused by manual handling, you should do all the following except A. Learn proper lifting and carrying techniques. B. Use lifting equipment. C. Disperse your items into smaller loads. D. Carry as much items as possible to get the task completed faster. Question 6. Answer D. Carry as much items as possible to get the task completed faster. Question 7. Class B fires are fires involving all of the following except. Choose 2 answers. A. Kerosene. B. Propane. C. Gasoline. D. Cooking oil. Question 7. Answer B. Propane. D. Cooking oil. Question 8. Which class of fire does magnesium and aluminium materials fall under? A. Class D. B. Class B. C. Class A. D. Class F. Question 8. Answer A. Class D. Question 9. Which of these 2 types of fire extinguishers are most suitable for use on electrical fires? Choose 2 answers. A. Water. B. Foam. C. Wet chemical. D. CO2. E. Dry powder. Question 9. Answer D. CO2. E. Dry powder. Question 10. In the event of a fire, you should do all the following except A. Exit the building immediately using the nearest lift. B. Call the fire brigade. C. Operate the nearest fire alarm. D. To call the fire if safe and trained to do so. Question 10. Answer A. Exit the building immediately using the nearest lift. Question 1. What should you do if the guard from a power tool need to use is missing? A. Improvise and make your own. B. Carry on using it but be very careful and work very slowly. C. Use the tool as fast as you can to complete the task quickly. D. Do not use the tool unless you get the correct guard fitted. Question 1. Answer: D. Do not use the tool unless you get the correct guard fitted. Question 2. If you need to operate a power tool, you must be A. Trained and competent. B. At least 16 years old. C. At least 18 years old. D. At least 21 years old. Question 2. Answer: A. Trained and competent. Question 3. What should you do if the extension wire you need to use has a cut in the outer cover? A. If you can't see the copper wires inside, then carry on using it. B. Use electrical tape to cover it and then carry on working. C. Report it immediately and make sure no one else uses it. D. Carry on using it but avoid going near the cut part. Question 3. Answer: C. Report it immediately and make sure no one else uses it. Question 4. Which of these must you do if you're required to use an extension cable? Choose 2 answers. A. You must only uncoil the length you need to use. B. You must uncoil the entire cable. C. Check the entire length and cable connectors for damage. D. You must only check the length you need for damage. Question 4. Answer: B. You must uncoil the entire cable. C. Check the entire length and cable connectors for damage. Question 5. Which of these must you do if you need to run an electrical cable across an area used by vehicles? Choose 2 answers. A. Ensure that you use yellow tape to wrap it, as this would make it visible to drivers. B. Use spare wood or scaffold boards to cover the cable. C. Use a protective ramp to cover the cable. D. Put up a ramp ahead sign. Question 5. Answer: C. Use a protective ramp to cover the cable. D. Put up a ramp ahead sign. Question 6. What should you do if you're required to work in an area that has exposed electrical cable? A. Touch it quickly to ensure that it's not live. B. If there are no sparks coming from the cable, then it's safe to assume that it's not live. C. Move the cable out of your path and carry on working. D. Do not go near the cable and report to your supervisor immediately. Question 6. Answer: D. Do not go near the cable and report to your supervisor immediately. Question 7. What 2 things can you do to help prevent slips and trips while using an extension cable? A. Run the cables and leads in the middle of the room so it can be visible to everyone. B. Run the cables and leads close to the wall. C. Run the cables and leads above head height over doorways and walkways. D. Tie up excess cables and leads into a very small coil. Question 7. Answer: B. Run the cables and leads close to the wall. C. Run the cables and leads above head height over doorways and walkways. Question 8. Why must you be fully trained before using a cartridge-operated tool? A. Because they're very heavy and can cause injuries if you lift them incorrectly. B. They can be dangerous to an inexperienced person because they operate like a gun. C. If you use it incorrectly, it can cause dermatitis. D. It has many exposed electrical parts. Question 8. Answer: B. They can be dangerous to an inexperienced person because they operate like a gun. Question 9. When should you check your tools and equipment for damage? A. At least once a month. B. At least once every 3 months. C. At least once every 6 months. D. It should always be checked before you use it. Question 9. Answer: D. It should always be checked before you use it. Question 10. Why should you use a RCD with 230-volt tools? A. Because it reduces energy consumption and lowers cost. B. Because it cuts off the power quickly if there's a fault. C. It allows the tools to run at a safe speed. D. It allows the tools run at a higher speed. Question 10. Answer B. Because it cuts off the power quickly if there's a fault. Question 11. To check if a RCD connected to a power tool is working, you should A. Press the test button on the RCD. B. Try running the tool at top speed to see if it cuts out. C. Switch the tool on and off. D. Switch the power on and off. Question 11. Answer A. Press the test button on the RCD. Question 12. What does the Portable Appliance Testing (PAT) label on a power tool tell you? Choose two answers. A. The year the tool was manufactured. B. The date the next safety check is due. C. The company the tool belongs to. D. The previous date the tool was tested. Question 12. Answer B. The date the next safety check is due. D. The previous date the tool was tested. Question 13. What is the recommended safe voltage for electrical equipment on a building site? A. 5.5 volts. B. 9 volts. C. 12 volts. D. 110 volts. E. 230 volts. Question 13. Answer D. 110 volts. Question 14. What should the color of a 110-volt power cable and connector be? A. Green. B. Yellow. C. Red. D. Black. Question 14. Answer B. Yellow. Question 15. Why is it that building sites use 110-volt instead of the regular 230-volt domestic supply? A. Mainly because it is a lot cheaper. B. Because it's less likely to kill you. C. It has less impact on the environment. D. Most power tools are designed for 110-volt only. Question 15. Answer B. Because it's less likely to kill you. Question 1. Using eye protection is vital for on-site safety. When should you wear eye protection? A. Only when you're working with power tools. B. Only when you're working with hazardous chemicals. C. When the task has a potential for eye injury and if the site rules demand it. D. Only when your eyes come into direct sunlight. Question 1. Answer C. When the task has a potential for eye injury and if the site rules demand it. Question 2. Protective midsoles in your safety footwear are designed to A. Prevent you from twisting your ankle. B. Prevent chemical burns if you step on hazardous chemicals. C. Ensure your footwear remains comfortable throughout the day. D. Protect your feet from nails and other sharp objects. Question 2. Answer D. Protect your feet from nails and other sharp objects. Question 3. What should you do if you're given a task that requires you to wear a full-body harness but you've never used one before? A. Carry on and try to work it out yourself. B. Ask a colleague who wears one for advice. C. Ask for an expert to train you. D. Ask for the instruction manual and figure it out yourself. Question 3. Answer C. Ask for an expert to train you. Question 4. Wearing a safety helmet in hot weather can be uncomfortable. Which of these is true about wearing a safety helmet in hot weather? A. You can drill small holes in your helmet to increase airflow and keep you cool. B. You can take it off for short periods of time while you're working. C. You must keep it on at all times and ensure you're wearing it correctly. D. You can wear it sideways if it's more comfortable this way. Question 4. Answer C. You must keep it on at all times and ensure you're wearing it correctly. Question 5. What should you do if you accidentally drop your safety helmet and crack it? A. Get another one immediately. B. Wait until you break and get another one. C. Carry on working if it's only a small crack. D. Wait until the end of your shift and get another one for the next day. Question 5. Answer. A. Get another one immediately. Question 6. If your job role requires specific type of PPE, will you need to pay for this? A. Yes, you'll need to pay a percentage of the total cost. B. No, your employer must provide all PPE necessary to carry out a job. C. Yes, everyone is responsible for providing their own PPE. D. Maybe, you might need to pay as PPE is provided at your employer's discretion. Question 6. Answer. B. No, your employer must provide all PPE necessary to carry out a job. Question 7. What should you do if your safety footwear gets damaged while working? A. Try to fix it and carry on working. B. Throw it away and use your trainers. C. Keep using it until your next break and then replace it. D. Get a replacement immediately. Question 7. Answer. D. Get a replacement immediately. Question 8. All of these statements are true about PPE except A. PPE must be worn in accordance with the instructions. B. You are responsible for providing your own PPE if the ones you're given is lost. C. Any damage to your PPE must be reported to your supervisor. D. You must ensure your PPE is stored correctly when you're not using it. Question 8. Answer. B. You are responsible for providing your own PPE if the ones you're given is lost. Question 9. What should you do if the disposable earplugs you're given keeps falling out of your ears? A. Throw them away, continue working and get another pair at your next break. B. Take them out and continue working. C. Stop working until you get a pair that fits correctly. D. Secure it with some rolled-up paper. Question 9. Answer. C. Stop working until you get a pair that fits correctly. Question 10. It's important for you to wear the correct type of gloves when dealing with hazardous substances. If you don't, then you're like to succumb to A. Arthritis. B. Vibration white finger. C. Raynaud's syndrome. D. Skin disease. Question 10. Answer. D. Skin disease. What should you do if you need to store materials on a flat roof but you cannot fit edge protection? Choose 3 answers. A. You must ensure that the materials are stored in such a way that they cannot fall. B. You must ensure that you install a cantilever safety net below the roof edge. C. You must ensure that the materials do not endanger your colleagues or others in that area. D. You must ensure that you and your colleagues can have safe access to the stored materials. Question 1. Answer. A. You must ensure that the materials are stored in such a way that they cannot fall. C. You must ensure that the materials do not endanger your colleagues or others in that area. D. You must ensure that you and your colleagues can have safe access to the stored materials. Question 2. What should you do if you need to use a safety lanyard but the stitching is damaged? A. Dispose of it and carry on working without one. B. Continue using the lanyard only if the damaged stitching is less than 4 inches. C. Ask for a replacement and do not start working until you have a suitable replacement. D. Continue to use the lanyard and get another one at the end of your shift. Question 2. Answer. C. Ask for a replacement and do not start working until you have a suitable replacement. Question 3. If you are using inflatable airbags as a means of fall arrest, you must ensure that the inflation pump A. Is electrically powered. B. Is turned off every couple of minutes to avoid the airbags from overinflation. C. Is turned off as soon as the airbags are full. D. Stays on at all times when there's work being carried out at height. Question 3. Answer. D. Stays on at all times when there's work being carried out at height. Question 4. What is edge protection designed to do? A. It's designed to stop materials and people from falling over. B. It's designed to direct rainwater into a specific area. C. It's designed to allow easier access to the roof. D. It's designed to stop unauthorized entry to the roof. Question 4. Answer. A. It's designed to stop materials and people from falling over. Question 5. What is the maximum permitted gap between the guardrails on a working platform? A. 300 mm. B. 470 mm. C. 500 mm. D. 520 mm. Question 5. Answer. B. 470 mm. Question 6. How should you wear your safety helmet if you need to lean over an exposed edge while working at height? A. You should tilt your helmet backwards, which should prevent it from falling over. B. You should tilt your helmet to the side, which will help to prevent it from falling over. C. You should ensure you make use of the chin strap and wear the helmet as normal. D. You should not wear your helmet while carrying out these tasks. Question 6. Answer. C. You should ensure you make use of the chin strap and wear the helmet as normal. Question 7. What should you do if you discover a rung missing near the top of the ladder you're about to use? A. Use the ladder, but make sure you're very careful when going over the missing rung. B. Stop using the ladder and report the defect immediately. C. Flip the ladder so the missing rung stays closer to the ground. D. Use the ladder, but make sure a colleague holds the ladder while you're on it. Question 7. Answer. B. Stop using the ladder and report the defect immediately. Question 8. Guardrails are essential for safety while working at height. These should be fitted to a working platform when A. There's a possibility you could fall 5 meters. B. These should only be fitted if you need to store materials on the working platform. C. There's a possibility of you getting injured if you fall. D. There's a possibility you could fall 10 meters. Question 8. Answer. C. There's a possibility of you getting injured if you fall. Question 9. Using the Beaufort scale is vital for your safety while working at height externally because it measures A. How much weight you can store safely on a roof. B. How much weight you can store safely on a scaffold. C. How many people can be on a roof at the same time. D. The wind speed. Question 9. Answer. D. The wind speed. Question 10. What are Class 3 ladders? A. Class 3 ladders are ladders which are designed for use in industrial and construction environments only. B. Class 3 ladders should not be used on-site as they're designed for domestic purposes. C. Class 3 ladders should only be used by trained workers on-site. D. Class 3 ladders are the recommended choice for working near overhead cables. Question 10. Answer. B. Class 3 ladders should not be used on-site as they're designed for domestic purposes. Question 11. Who should erect and dismantle a scaffold tower? A. Anyone who has worked on a scaffold tower before can do this. B. Only trained, competent and authorized people should carry out these tasks. C. Anyone with the instruction book in their possession can carry out these tasks. D. Anyone who has witnessed these tasks being carried out can perform them as well. Question 11. Answer. B. Only trained, competent and authorized people should carry out these tasks.
Question 1. What is the primary reason that employees must report any and all accidents that occur on the job site? A. Insurance reasons dictate that all incidents be reported. B. Accountability needs to be firmly established. C. Only major accidents need to be reported. D. Employers and employees can learn from the incident. Correct answer is D. Employers and employees can learn from the incident. Question 2. Equipment that has been issued a prohibition notice must be A. Operated by approved personnel. B. Operated by senior staff only. C. Cease to be operated until checked for safety. D. Discarded immediately. Correct answer is C. Cease to be operated until checked for safety. Question 3. It's important for you to wear the correct type of gloves when dealing with hazardous substances. If you don't, then you're like to succumb to A. Arthritis. B. Vibration white finger. C. Raynaud syndrome. D. Skin disease. Correct answer is D. Skin disease. Question 4. If your job role requires specific type of PPE, would you need to pay for this? A. Yes, you'll need to pay a percentage of the total cost. B. No, your employer must provide all PPE necessary to carry out a job. C. Yes, everyone is responsible for providing their own PPE. D. Maybe, you might need to pay as PPE is provided at your employer's discretion. Correct answer is B. No, your employer must provide all PPE necessary to carry out a job. Question 5. What should you do if you're given a task that requires you to wear a full body harness but you've never used one before? A. Carry on and try to work it out yourself. B. Ask a colleague who wears one for advice. C. Ask for an expert to train you. D. Ask for the instruction manual and figure it out yourself. Correct answer is C. Ask for an expert to train you. Question 6. Which of these best describes a toolbox talk? A. It's a detailed guide on how to store your tools safely. B. It's a short discussion on a specific health and safety topic. C. It's a guide that outlines the tools approved for use on site. D. It's a guide that explains the benefits of choosing the right tools for a job. Correct answer is B. It's a short discussion on a specific health and safety topic. Question 7. What purpose does a steel toe serve in a work boot? A. Increased traction when working from heights. B. Increased comfort. C. The steel will keep the foot more aerated than a normal boot. D. Protection against falling debris from above. Correct answer is D. Protection against falling debris from above. Question 8. Equipment being used has recently been served a prohibition notice? If you are using this equipment, what should you do? A. If the device seems to be working properly, continue to use it. B. Nothing, the notice is only for a specific employee. C. Cease using the device until it has passed a safety inspection. D. Report the notice to your supervisor at the end of your shift. Correct answer is C. Cease using the device until it has passed a safety inspection.
Question 1. What should you do if the toilet on your worksite doesn't work and is always in a messy state? A. Avoid using the toilet. B. Investigate and try to fix the problem. C. Leave the site on your break and use the toilet in a nearby shop. D. Speak to your supervisor about the problem. Question 1 Answer, D. Speak to your supervisor about the problem. Hint, your employer is required by law to provide adequate toilet facilities. Inform your supervisor and let him handle the situation. Question 2. What should you do when you're cleaning up dust after completing a task? A. Ensure you're wearing your protective mask. B. Ensure you dampen down the area. C. Ensure there's adequate ventilation. D. All of the above. Question 2 Answer, D. All of the above. Hint, your first priority is to protect yourself and others that might be affected by any dust created. Question 3. Why is it important for you to control and minimize dust from getting into the air? A. Constantly inhaling dust particles can cause lung problems in the future. B. Less dust means less cleaning up afterwards. C. Dust is always in the air and it does not cause harm. D. Dust in the air will affect your vision. Question 3. Answer. A. Constantly inhaling dust particles can cause lung problems in the future. Hint, inhaling dust can cause severe and even fatal lung problems. Question 4. What should you do if you're given a tool which has a broken electrical wire? A. Ask one of your colleagues to try and fix the problem. B. Get some electrical tape and cover the exposed wire. C. Stop using the tool and report it immediately. D. Carry on working but avoid that particular area. Question 4. Answer. C. Stop using the tool and report it immediately. Hint, if a tool is unsafe for work it should be reported immediately. Question 5. Disposable masks should be used no more than A. 7 working days. B. 9 working days. C. 1 day or 1 shift. D. 10 working days. Question 5. Answer. C. 1 day or 1 shift. Hint, disposable masks are similar to disposable earplugs and should not be used more than 1 day or 1 shift. Question 6. For maximum protection when using a mask you should A. Ensure you're using the correct type of mask for the job. B. Ensure you're wearing the mask correctly. C. Ensure you've passed a face fit test for that specific mask. D. All of the above. Question 6. Answer. D. All of the above. Hint, to ensure you're protected, you'll need the right mask for the job, you'll need to wear it as recommended in the instructions and you will need to make sure it fits correctly. Question 7. Before starting your shift you're given a dust mask that's too big and keeps falling off. What should you do? A. Ask for a mask that fits securely and wait until you have the correct RPE before starting. B. Ask your colleague to borrow his mask then carry on working. C. Carry on working and get another one after your shift ends. D. Carry on working with the big mask until you can get another one. Question 7. Answer. A. Ask for a mask that fits securely and wait until you have the correct RPE before starting. Hint, you should never start working until you have the correct PPE/RPE for the job. Question 8. Being constantly exposed to loud noises can cause permanent ear damage. Can this be reversed? A. No, ear damage cannot be reversed. B. Yes, eventually your hearing will return to normal. C. Yes, you can have a simple operation to reverse this. D. Yes, staying away from noisy environments can slowly reverse this. Question 8. Answer. A. No, ear damage cannot be reversed. Hint, permanent hearing loss cannot be reversed so care must be taken by using correct PPE. Question 9. Hand-arm vibration syndrome or vibration white finger can be described as A. A severe rash on your arm that's caused by exposure to hazardous substances. B. A sign that your hands are on the way to becoming permanently injured. C. An airborne disease that can affect your breathing. D. Frostbite that can lead to permanent damage to your arms and fingers. Question 9. Answer. B. A sign that your hands are on the way to becoming permanently injured. Hint, hand-arm vibration syndrome or HAVS is an early sign that your hands are on the way to becoming permanently injured. Question 10. If you're required to use skin barrier cream, when should this be applied? A. At the end of your shift. B. Before your shift starts. C. This should only be used if you can't find your gloves. D. This should only be used as part of first aid treatment. Question 10. Answer. B. before your shift starts. Hint, skin barrier cream should be applied before your shift starts. Question 1. Which of the following statements about ladder use is true? A. Only a single person should work on a ladder, regardless of length or supervision. B. 2 people are permitted to work on a single ladder if the supervisor of the job site approves. CSCS specialist working at heights test, 15 questions. Question 1. Who can assemble, dismantle or change a tube when you are fitting scaffold? A. Someone who thinks they are able to do it. B. Some who has the right tools for the job. C. Someone who is competent and authorized. D. The project manager. Question 1. Answer, C. Someone who is competent and authorized. Question 2. Why should you not paint a ladder? A. The paint will make the surface slippy to use. B. If painted it could hide damage on the metal parts of the ladder. C. The paint may hide any damaged parts. D. It will need to be regularly repainted. Question 2. Answer, C. The paint may hide any damaged parts. Question 3. You are up on a roof that is flat. How can you best make sure you will not fall over the side of the roof? A. Use a guardrail and toe boards to protect the sides. B. You can use white and red tape to mark out the edge. C. If at the edge of the roof you put a warning sign. D. Get someone to watch you while you are up on the roof and when you get close to the edge shout. Question 3. Answer, A. Use a guardrail and toe boards to protect the sides. Question 4. You can cross over a fragile roof only if A. Use the bolts to walk along. B. You can see sign pointing out that it is a fragile roof. C. If you stay away from any and do not walk on the plastic panels. D. With the use of crawling boards. Question 4. Answer, D. With the use of crawling boards. Question 5. At the same time, how many people can use one ladder? A. 1. B. 2. C. 3 if it is long enough. D. 1 on each section of an extension ladder. Question 5. Answer, A. 1. Question 6. You go to use a ladder but you find that the ladder is damaged. What should you do? A. Use the ladder if you can avoid using the damaged parts. B. Try and mend the damaged ladder. C. Make others aware of the damage and do not use it yourself. D. Do not use it and report it at the end of your shift. Question 6. Answer, C. Make others aware of the damage and do not use it yourself. Question 7. You are about to use a ladder. At what angle should a ladder be placed? A. 40 degrees. B. 50 degrees. C. 65 degrees. D. 75 degrees. Question 7. Answer, D. 75 degrees. Question 8. You want to stop stacked materials from going over the toe boards. How can you best achieve this? A. Fit brick guards. B. Attach a large warning sign to the material stack. C. Construct the materials in such a way that it will lean away from the edge. D. By covering the stack of material with a net. Question 8. Answer, A. Fit brick guards. Question 9. Some materials need to be lifted to a platform and the guardrail needs to be removed. You are not a scaffolder. Can you remove the rail? A. Yes, if you put it back as soon as the material has been landed. B. No, only a scaffolder can remove the guardrail but you can put it back. C. No, only a scaffolder can remove and replace the guardrail. D. Yes, if you put it back at the end of your shift. Question 9. Answer, C. No, Only a scaffolder can remove and replace the guardrail. Question 10. Before a ladder is used, who should check it? A. The person who is going to use it. B. The manufacturer. C. A supervisor. D. The site safety officer. Question 10. Answer: A. The person who is going to use it. Question 11. You want to make sure the ladder you are about to use will be secure and will not have the chance of slipping. How can you do this? A. Wedge the bottom of the ladder with blocks of wood. B. You should tie the ladder at the bottom. C. You can ask if someone will be able to stand with their feet at the bottom. D. Tie it at the top. Question 11. Answer: D. Tie it at the top. Question 12. You are working above water and there is a risk of falling. Which 2 items of PPE do you need? A. Wellington boots. B. Waterproof jacket. C. Harness and lanyard. D. Life jacket. E. Waterproof trousers. Question 12. Answer: C. Harness and lanyard. D. Life jacket. Question 13. Which statement is true if you want to use a ladder to be able to get access to a scaffolding platform? A. 2 people must be on the ladder at all times. B. All of the broken rungs must be clearly marked and visible to others. C. You must wedge the ladder from the bottom so the ladder will not slip. D. It must be tied and extend about 5 rungs above the platform. Question 13. Answer: D. It must be tied and extend about 5 rungs above the platform. Question 14. Objects can easily fall from a scaffolding platform. How can you best protect the people below? A. Tell the people below to stop work and clear the area. B. Use brick guards to stop anything falling below. C. Make sure they are wearing safety helmets. D. Tell them you will be working above. Question 14. Answer: B. Use brick guards to stop anything falling below. Question 15. In what circumstance will you be able to use a ladder as a place of work? A. Only if you will be doing light work for a short period. B. If you can find a ladder to use. C. If it is long enough. D. If other people do not need to use it for access. Question 15. Answer: A. Only if you will be doing light work for a short period.